You should beat them by 30 points. And I don't think these teams are that bad. I just think this Washington team is pretty
that good.
Damn good. Pop.
Son, I want to take at least a little credit for what happened. I got the lucky shirt, lucky underwear, lucky socks. We're rolling, baby.
Have the mutanda been washed? What's going on with the lucky underwear situation?
Can confirm or deny. Can confirm or deny that.
As the official lawyer of the Dama Pop podcast, we're going to move on from that. But man,
what a day.
I mean, just dominant. And what's crazy is like, you know, it doesn't look like it looked last week on the scoreboard or whatever, but I mean, we pulled our starters at the beginning of the fourth quarter. It was just a complete domination. Commanders 34 over the Browns 13. The Browns didn't score a touchdown until we had pulled pretty much everybody from our team off the field. Just absolutely. And it helps.
Garbage time.
I'll say it now. It helps that quarterback over there, I don't even want to say his name, but that quarterback can't throw into the Pacific Ocean. It helps that guy is probably the worst. Some of the worst I've ever seen that position be played was how that guy played today. But the run defense was phenomenal. The pass rush was phenomenal. He didn't have much opportunity to do stuff. I was blown away by what I saw today on the defensive side of the football and the resilience on the offense. And just kind of, I tweeted it out, you know, I'm going to kick it over to you after this, Pop, but I tweeted it out early in the game when we were in a little bit of a dogfight. And I said, you know, grinding it out so far, said, I got more faith in our offense to figure it out than their offense. And I'm just glad our defense is just kind of return and serve right now. And sure enough, our offense figured it out. And I mean, on a down day for Jaden Daniels, he had 320 total yards of offense. And we scored 34 points. We were up 24-3 at halftime during a down day. So sky's the limit for this team, man. I'm excited.
Well, they could just beat you in so many different ways. And today it was big plays. And we're going to get into it. But I mean, it was just the fact that you look at 17-3 at halftime and you know, you didn't get the sense. The defense was playing really well. You're right. They were getting an assist by the other team's quarterback at times. It seems like he just had some serious accuracy issues. But, you know, you could see that credit to the Browns defense, right? I mean, they were rushing. They were speeding Jaden Daniels up, and we were certainly speeding Deshaun Watson up. But it's that fact that they can beat teams offensively in so many different ways. And, you know, you're 17-3, clearly in control of the game, not especially offensively, not having played your best ball. But again, it was big plays today. You know, that made the difference, right? Couldn't really get the run game going. You could clearly see they were taking that away. That's I stand by my statement earlier in the week. That's the best defense we've played. And we just hung 34 points on them.
That might be the best defense we'll play all year. That's a good defense.
That's the best defense we've played. And, you know, so it's super impressive. 4-1. Who would have thought? Sitting right at the top, not of just the NFC East, of the NFC Conference. I mean, you know, the Minnesota's still rolling, but it's super exciting. And I mean, you know, at the end of the day, the guy that makes it all go offensively is Jaden Daniels. I mean, he just beats you in so many different ways. And, you know, his run game, you know, the design run game with Jaden Daniels wasn't really working. You know, I was like yelling, Cliff, please don't call those option runs anymore. But he just keeps at it and he's persistent. And then all of a sudden he's breaking off 30, 40-yard runs, right, that are just killers to the defense. And the defense really came to play. And I really they seem to be, all of a sudden it seems like Bobby Wagner's playing at a different speed. Yeah. You know, we were thinking, he looks slow out there. It doesn't look so slow anymore.
Yeah.
He's playing at a different speed. And Luvu's just been balling for a couple of weeks now.
Sammer still got his name called a few times.
Wasn't seeing cornerbacks get burnt today.
No.
I know probably our line had a lot to do with that. Like you said, stuff in the run.
Yeah,
I think they piled up some yards in the run, kind of more so in garbage time. So, impressive performance by the defense for sure.
What a different scene it is since the last time the Cleveland Browns came to FedEx Field. If you remember, the last time the Browns came to FedEx Field, it was the Commanders had just dropped 2 straight with Taylor Heineke after going on like a 6-game win streak. And Carson Wentz came in and threw 3 interceptions in the first half because Ron Rivera, the patron saint Ron Rivera, who got us in this position, Ron Rivera came in and decided it was going to be Wentz. And crazily enough, you wonder the butterfly effect of the butterfly effect of that game. And like, okay, maybe you make the playoffs, and if you leave Heineke in that game, you definitely make the playoffs. Of course, you have that infamous "we could be eliminated" quote after that game, right? And things just kind of spiral out of control in the next year. Obviously, everybody had given up. Locker room was torched. Josh Harris, who you saw on the broadcast today, conveniently, I think they only showed Harris from like the chest up.
They had to give him the Elvis treatment. They can only show him from the waist up.
Oh yeah, I think Harris was fired up today.
His excitement level was too high.
For sure. Yeah, not safe for TV. But yeah, just how different things are. And I saw that shot of Harris with the sunglasses on and just a big smile standing on the sideline, and I just was like, God, good things happen to good people, man.
Well, you pay over $6 billion, but then you do everything you can to upgrade the stadium, and then you're just out of the chute. You're 4-1, and you're seeing the crowd into it, and just it's a whole new day. And like I said it last week, don't wake me up from this dream.
No,
I'm happy right here.
No,
this is it's crazy, and I don't know. I think maybe it's just like you said. It's what do they call it? PTSD, or from being a fan for so long. But I look at it and go, we go 500 from here. That's 10 wins, and this team's going to do much better than go 500.
Yeah, I mean,
by all by everything we're seeing, right?
Would you have any reason to believe that this team goes 500 from here? I mean, you don't want to like get too far ahead of yourself, but
all about the Ravens at this point.
Yeah, I think there are some pretty wild outcomes coming down the pike, and you just look at this is the newest team in football, right? There's like 30 something new players that are on this roster that were not on the roster last year. We talked about it. We said there's going to be massive roster overhaul. And you see Frankie Louvu, who we'll talk about later today in our award segment. Frankie Louvu just running around out there like his hair's on fire. And just this is a guy that you think you see Jaden offensively and you say, okay, he's going to be the staple of this franchise. But I think he got the same thing for Louvu. I think Louvu found his home here, and I think this is a guy that's going to be playing here as the field general, middle linebacker for this team. I mean, just what a unbelievable signing that kid was. And no how good he's been. We'll talk more about him later. But speaking of that, Jaden,
and you could see Bobby Wagner quarterbacking that defense. There's so many times that you could see him just getting everybody in the right spot, and that's just incredibly valuable. And it's been so good. And the thing is now, we're 5 weeks in. We're going into week 6. So the people talk about September is the new preseason, right? Well, we're through that. We've got 5 games under our belt with this team. And you see it climbing and you see it improving week over week. And I think you saw a situation with a really good defense throw their best punch at our offense and had us kind of wobbly at the beginning of the fight, right?
Yep.
Landed a couple of shots. We were a little wobbly, had a bad turnover in the red zone there, kind of trying to force it a bit, but yet we just keep chipping away, keep at it, and just find different ways to beat teams. And that's what's encouraging. Like the recipe of how we beat the Bengals, or even you go the Giants to the Bengals to the Cardinals to the Browns this week, offensively was different every week. And defensively, I just feel like we're just, we're trending up. That trending up sign you send,
Definitely
through text and stuff now. So, and, I wasn't real confident a couple of weeks ago this defense was going to come together, but it certainly looks like it's starting to come together. It's starting to gel. And that defensive line is playing really well. And that's, the two lines are playing really well. And, that's exciting. I mean, we saw the offensive line leak a little bit today, more so than we've seen in the last couple of weeks. But, overall, it's a lot. There's a lot to be excited about. It's bizarre to be sitting there in the second half and know the game's over, like midway through the third quarter.
I turned it off in the fourth quarter.
It's bizarre. It's just bizarre.
I turned it off.
I mean, it feels great.
Left. Yeah, I was sitting there watching it, and I saw Mariota come in, and I said, let's see. And then I saw him for 2 plays, and I was like, yeah, let's turn the Ravens game on.
Well, the Ravens game was a
better way to spend our time.
Was a burner, right?
And, there have been, hand up, there have been many times in my lifetime where we said, all right, let's just turn the Ravens game on. But it's not because of that outcome. It's because we've had enough pain, and we got to get some rage out, root for the Steelers real quick or something. But man, it's just incredible to see. I mean, today the story was big plays on offense. That was the number one thing. I mean, Daniels, so we go 3 and out real fast. First drive, second drive, I think it was 3rd and 13 or something like that. Daniels looks dead to rights, kind of high steps out of a sack, throws a 66-yard pass to Terry McLaurin, halfway, it was almost like he threw a jump pass. He's halfway set, kind of just flicked the ball and just dropped it in the breadbasket. Terry catches it, doesn't quite bring it in for a touchdown. Obviously, JD then throws the pick on that 3rd and goal situation.
The thing about that play was incredible is this total improv.
Yeah.
Because as Jaden's rolling out,
it's just scramble drill.
Terry just takes off downfield.
Yep.
So it's that when players make plays off script like that, that's super exciting. And the connection between Terry wasn't Terry's best game, but between Terry and Jaden, was incredible there.
Yeah, and I mean that was a Mahomesian kind of play. It's you start hearing the as he starts running around.
When he's rolling out to the right and he has his eyes downfield, watch out, because he throws a great ball on the run like that.
It is incredible. And that was a big knock on him coming out of college, which I think, we're starting to realize we just need things to talk about from February till April.
Yeah.
But it was a big knock on him coming out of college was that he didn't create off schedule. He was great as a runner and he was great in the pocket, but he wasn't great at creating throws on the run, creating off schedule, blah, blah, blah. That was supposed to be Caleb's strength. And now we see all of a sudden he needs to do that because it's the NFL and plays break down and the defense gets paid too, right? And then all of a sudden this kid just has this ability to do it. And it's fantastic. The next drive, Eckler, 50-yard run to the Cleveland 23, ended up resulting in a field goal.
OZ gets a big assist for getting that fumble.
Yeah, that was big. That was
big.
And
it was one of those I shouted out, protect the ball before it got swiped out because you could just see when the defender's coming behind the runner. And it was that, and OZ being in that position and getting that fumble was huge.
That was huge. And I think that was the biggest run we've had in, I don't know if it was that particular play, but Eckler today had the biggest run
it's gotta be that
since Darius Geis, which was in 2018. That's the name that you probably forgotten about by now. Jaden Daniels ran for 34 yards on 4th and 3. That was just an absolute, which resulted in the touchdown for 17-3, which you thought was going to be the last touchdown that they scored before the end of the half.
I think that was another B-Rob touchdown, I think.
Yeah, that was another Brian Robinson touchdown, which was huge. Robinson clearly is not 100%. You hope whatever's
going on. They sat him
with,
in the second half.
Yeah, you hope. I think it's a bruise on the knee. But yeah, I mean, you didn't need him today. I think they felt like they didn't need him today, and so they only really deployed him in really needed Brian Robinson situations. And I think after a while, he was just like, "Hey, man, I'm done. Like, let's or you know what? If I know Brian Robinson, he probably wanted to go, but I think Dan Quinn was probably like, listen, man, save him for next week."
Yeah, we don't know the whole story, but I mean, I think if they did pull him just because they had a good lead and
sure,
they got 2 other really good backs, so it was a very smart move.
Yep, and the final right before the half, the dagger, Jaden Daniels
after
deep shot
after the half.
Was this after the
second half? Yeah,
was 17-3 at the half. Okay,
yeah.
It's all a blur, honestly, because you don't have to be stressed out about it. You just get to enjoy it.
Oh, wait a minute. It was 24-3. It was 24-3 half.
This was before the half because the defense came up with the stop. Came up with the stop, and then Diami, Jaden was kind of rushing down the field to see if he could get a score. And I guess the story behind that play was Jaden. Obviously, the Commanders, what's made the offense so special, aside from number 5, from a schematic standpoint, is the no huddle. And the way Cliff deploys no huddle and deploys so many different formations out of no huddle is just genius. What he's doing, there's no other word for it. It's just absolutely genius. And basically, Jaden had he just kind of ran out of bounds. He didn't really get anything, and he looked at Cliff and he said, "They're in man. Let's take a shot." And Cliff dialed it up right.
That was a beautiful
there,
ball.
and that was a frozen rope, and you could see it landed so soft in Diami's hands. I mean, I think there's a chance Diami didn't even have to put his hands out, and he might have caught that. Like, it was like you couldn't have handed the ball off to Diami better if you were standing in the end zone. Like, it was incredible. And speaking of incredible throws, Pop alluded to it earlier with Terry, that little back shoulder fade that he threw to Terry at the goal line, that is as good of a pass as you will ever see in the NFL. Terry did not bring it in. It's unlike him for him to not bring a ball like that in.
That wasn't Terry-esque.
It's human nature.
He probably said, "Oh shoot, somebody hit me in the hands on a fade."
Yeah, exactly.
How did that happen?
He is used to it was his PTSD from the Heineke days where he was expected to get absolutely clobbered because the ball was underthrown by 6 yards. But yeah, that's a good point. Terry's not used to the ball hitting him in the hands very much.
Yeah, my bad on the halftime score. I can't believe I didn't remember that. I was reading the score for the quarter, but 24-3 makes perfect sense in the shot of Josh Harris waist up, smiling.
Yep. Oh man, too good. But what a game today. I mean, phenomenal. The defense was great.
I think like a couple of other key stats, right? So 434 total yards of offense on what didn't seem like a really clean day, right? 2 turnovers. Really good balance. 219 yards passing, I guess, with some of the reduction of the sacks and stuff. 215 running, right?
Yeah.
Won the time of possession battle again. 31-18 time of possession. Great balance again this week. The defense, right, holds Cleveland to 212 yards of total offense. Yeah. Fair amount of that came on the one drive in garbage time. 108 passing yards total in the NFL. 7 sacks.
Incredible.
Stop after stop after stop. I think at one point they didn't convert a third down until very late in the game.
Yeah.
I think maybe they might have eventually gotten one. I don't remember, but I know pretty late in the game they hadn't converted a third down. So, yeah, great performance by the defense. You can only play who's in front of you. And they did a great job playing.
And for 2 straight weeks, they've kicked whoever's in front of them right in the culo. And I mean, for all the talk of Arizona not being any team, they ran right into San Francisco and punched them in the mouth today. So, anyways,
bad day for the soft schedule crowd.
Yeah, real bad day, especially with what the Giants did. But just a great game. I think we're going to wrap this segment up with a quick shout out to the birthday boy, brother and uncle of the pod, or Uncle Nick. He said he had a great quote today breaking down the game. He said, Jaden Daniels creates weapons with his play.
So true.
His ability to move outside of the pocket, etc., just creates weapons. And I think I saw that. I was like, that's good stuff. We got to put that in the pod. It was awesome. So happy birthday, Uncle Nick. And let's move on to our award segment.
Let's do it.
We? All right.
Let's do it.
Sauce Award. Frankie Louvu. Sauce Award's got to go to Frankie Louvu. Just fantastic performance today. 7 tackles, 2.5 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, 3 quarterback hits, got the game ball in the locker room. He had the clip of him go viral this week, firing up the Commanders before the game. I'm telling you, man, that guy is our,
what a find.
Yeah, you don't want to throw crazy comps out there, but that is every great defense ever has had a absolute just weapon of a middle linebacker that fires up the defense and everybody looks to. And I'm telling you, that guy's going to become that guy. And if he's not already that guy, frankly. And what I think is so brilliant about the Louvu signing is that Louvu, originally in the NFL, he's an undrafted guy, or either undrafted or very late, but I think undrafted. He originally made his bread and butter as an edge rusher. He was kind of like an outside linebacker edge rusher. And as he started, he made rosters because he was able to rush the passer really well. And as he started kind of working his way up, working his way into teams, he started becoming more of that field general middle linebacker type. But that doesn't mean you lose the ability to edge rush. Right? So now you've got this guy out on the field, and you've got a guy that on any given play can either be Dante Fowler or Roquan Smith. And you have no offensively. You have. I was going to say
Wagner's more of the true middle, right? Middle linebacker, right?
Yeah, but you've got two inside linebackers,
right?
But yeah, Wagner obviously wears the dot and all that. Right. But I think that will be, depending on how much longer Wagner wants to go for and whatever, that's going to be Louvu in the future. Right. And I think Louvu is damn good. I mean, we haven't seen linebacker play like this in DC since London Fletcher was here. That's not hyperbole. We haven't. It's been terrible. It's been an awful, awful position here for a long time. And we have a great linebacker room now. So, yeah. Sauce Award, well-deserved to Frankie Louvu. And helmet stickers. Jaden Daniels, of course, going to get one. He's 14 for 25 today, 238 passing, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 11 carries for 82 yards, 310 total yards offensively. Pretty darn good. Bobby Wagner will also get one, 6 tackles, 3 solo tackles, 1.5 sacks, 1 tackle for loss.
Soft day for Pop. That actually adds up to 320. But
I said that earlier. I thought it was 320, but I didn't math it up. It's all right. It's all right. And then third one, Austin Eckler, just a dynamic football player. 6 carries, 67 yards, 11.2 yards per carry if you're doing the math on that one, and 2 catches for 30 yards.
Big plays.
Brian Robinson Jr., 2 touchdowns on 7 carries for 18 yards. And guys, all these numbers look good, right? This is over 3 quarters of football. Everybody sat for the fourth quarter. Everybody was
that's amazing.
Drinking Coors Light and eating orange slices during the fourth quarter, chilling. So it's pretty cool.
I talked over you, during Bobby Wagner because I was correcting the Jaden Daniels stat. Bobby Wagner looked like he hit the fountain of youth.
Yeah.
His first couple of games, he looked a little slow. We were a little bit critical of how he looked. He looked much faster today. And that play where he pushed the lineman into Deshaun to get the sack, and they only gave him a half sack on that. I think they gave Louvu the other half. I think he should have got the full sack because that was so cool. That was such a great play.
Yeah. Definitely don't see John Bostic making too many of those plays. Yeah, it's incredible, man. It's incredible. The David Mayo days are over. Woo! And I want to give a honorable mention to Mikey Sanderstill. I tweeted about him earlier today. I mean, you had heard that he was just a human missile in training camp, and people were saying all kinds of amazing things about him, and you're thinking, like, it's human nature when you hear those reports. You go, oh my God, this guy's going to come out and be like, the second coming of Ed Reed. This guy's just going to be an absolutely dynamic defensive back out there, and struggled a little bit to start the season. The defensive backs in general struggled, but you saw him get his name called a couple times today, a couple big hits. I think he was pretty fired up after the hit on Deshaun Watson, after the hit on him, and then he kind of pushed him back for that, which is a punk move because it was a totally legal hit. And I think after that, you saw him just kind of catch fire. And I think if that guy starts to get going, and now we have Luvu and Wagner as our linebackers, we have Armstrong, who's just kind of taken over as the alpha defensive end. John Allen got his name called a few times today, played really well. We've got all those dogs we have on the defensive line. If we can get a breakout star in the secondary, watch out. Watch out.
Yeah, and I mean, I think Benjamin St. Juice had some nice coverages. Nice coverage. He almost had the one interception there. Butler's playing really well. Percy Butler's playing really, really well. I got a shout out from Dan Quinn during the week. So, yeah, I mean, you're right. And I think the thing is that we're seeing that defense start to catch up, right? And that is super encouraging in terms of where this team can go the rest of the season. And everybody talks about it. It's a week-to-week league. It's a year-to-year league. And as they were putting this roster together in the offseason, you were just looking at it and going, it doesn't feel like a 6-win, 7-win, 8-win roster. And it's starting to, you never know until they start playing. But I mean, I've got the piece of paper right here. I had them 2-3 at this point. You had them 3-2. I don't think anyone realistically, I know there were some predictions out there from some real homers thought 4-1 was possible. And it's not just 4-1.
This
4-1 with the last two games being blowouts and outdueling, one of the best offenses in football on Monday Night Football. It's the way it's happened, especially these last 3 weeks. That's incredibly impressive, and can't wait to see those power rankings this week.
Yeah, I mean, this is incredible. This is truly special stuff. I mean, I got teary when De'Ami Brown caught that touchdown pass.
Well, I was going to say, I'm glad you brought De'Ami Brown's name up. I give him an honorable mention too. Noah Brown goes down.
Yep,
and he made a couple of plays out there. There weren't a lot of wide receiver catches in this one, but De'Ami flashed. It was good to see. You
know who I love on this team, and I think deserves a shout out as well because I think he was a key contributor to a touchdown today? Luke McCaffrey. Yeah. I love me some Luke McCaffrey. I think Luke McCaffrey is going to become it's funny to say because the guy's on our roster now, but if you remember what Jamison Crowder was in 2016, 2017, I think Luke is going to become that type of player for this team.
Yeah. And he's running open. I mean, you see it on certain plays, just Jane's going elsewhere with the ball. But I think, the De'Ami Brown reference is perfect. Uncle Nick's quote, right? Jaden Daniels creates weapons. Yep. You got a guy that can fly down the field. You place the ball perfectly. All you got to do is just outrun the guys trying to cover him, right? And I'll get you the ball.
And we talked about it in the offseason, we talked about it so much, and we were almost like, it almost feels like loser talk looking back on it, the way that things have panned out. But we've said, like, the most important thing about this football team, and not how many wins and losses it gets this year, the most important thing is the fact that we have complete synergy from owner to GM to head coach to offensive coordinator to defensive coordinator to quarterback to linebacker, etc. And that De'Ami Brown touchdown is a perfect example of that complete synergy, right? That complete synergy in motion. You've got a quarterback and an offensive coordinator and a head coach all on the same page, that you've got that guy out there, De'Ami Brown, who if you ever leave De'Ami Brown in single high coverage with single high safety with one guy covering him, De'Ami Brown's going to fly by him. That's what he does. And you've got a guy in Jaden Daniels that has the confidence and the poise and the ability to deliver. You've got Dan Quinn, who has completely offensively, Cliff Kingsbury is almost like co-head coach at this point. Like, he completely has stepped out of the way, lets Cliff do his thing, which is a skill in and of itself. Huge skill in and of itself. Cliff with the trust in Jaden with the poise to deliver the football and the ability. That is a direct product of that infrastructure. And that is why you repeatedly say, anybody who knows football, anybody who's covered, the guys that have covered this team for decades and whatever, this is different. This is not 2012. This is not the random 6-game Heineke win streak, whatever. This is different.
Well, there was the video going around this week of Cosme. And, he talked about, he was sitting there with Wiley, and he was saying, hey, man, it's great to have number 5, right? And, certainly having Jaden and a talent like Jaden, that just does so much, because he's such a weapon and it can beat you in so many different ways. But this coaching staff is such a weapon in and of itself.
Yeah.
Because they're just putting these guys, they're putting Jaden in the best position to execute. They're adjusting and adapting. I mean, that Browns defense came out and hit us in the mouth. Yeah. And you think that, okay, we're in for a battle today. This is going to be a grind out kind of game. And it's 24-7 at halftime. 24-7.
Yep.
Against a defense that was playing really well and playing us super tough. And I think the coaching has so much to do with it. I really do.
I tweeted it. Look, Cliff's script coming into today.
It's not just Cliff. His assistant coaches are coaching their ass off.
Yeah,
I want to say that. Offensive line, run game coaching.
Bobby Johnson, Anthony Lynn, Brian Johnson. All the credit
in the work. We're all from an ego perspective.
Yeah.
That he's taken all his input. He's not locked in to, what was his offense called? The air raid offense.
The air raid, yeah.
He's not locked into that.
This is completely different. This is
totally different
from what he was running.
Totally different.
And yeah, I tweeted it. Cliff's script today, the first 15 was the worst offense we saw all day.
Yeah.
But the ability to adjust out of that and get into something, that's what when we finally got our first touchdown, I said, it's going to happen, especially against a guy like Jim Schwartz, one of the best defensive coordinators in the league and a super talented defense. Defense gets paid too. I kept saying it early on in the game, right? They're going to win sometimes. And Cliff's ability to quickly adjust. Okay, we're seeing a lot of man. We're seeing a lot of single high. Here's what we need to do against that. Let's get the ball to Eckler. Let's reestablish the run. Let's get Jaden on some rollouts that he can then turn in to, long runs, etc. It's that we talk about adjustments. That's something we never saw for 4 years in the last administration. And we saw that here today. And that is just all these things coming together.
That's what's so impressive.
Is unbelievable.
Just to build on your point real quick, right? That first 15, what I was feeling at that time, and that's just a great insight by you, is that, okay, this is an example of the league catching up. Like, the league's got tape on you. And this is a really good defense, got tape, and they seem to be stopping everything that we were doing well. The run game, the design runs, the screens. They seemed to know the play before we called it, right? And we're just anticipating things and shutting everything down. And you're right. It's so impressive to be able to adjust off of that and then put up 24.5. Crazy. Good stuff.
Yep. And I mean, they could have put up 50 today if they wanted to. It was just like There was just no point. There was just no point. But Pop's got a quick kick-outs of the game for us?
No, it's right there. I'm just saying, get to it.
Couple quick kick-outs. It's hard to even kick-outs this
I know,
game.
it's hard to find kick-outs, but it's our signature segment, so we got to do it.
The turnovers, the Jaden interception was not good. I mean, it was a hell of a play, but he forced that ball. He forced that ball. He tried to, you can see the way he delivered it. He tried to just like Josh Allen it in there. Like he tried to just absolutely throw the hardest football he could throw. And that's not Jaden's game. And he was not playing his games. He's a little rattled from whatever. So can't have that, but he's a rookie. I'll take it.
He owned it in the press conference. He just said, look, I threw some bad passes.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. And the Terry fumble, I didn't like that play call coming out of the half. It was just a little too cute.
He got crushed.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, sometimes the defense makes a good play. And I really felt like that was an example of the defense just made
the guy that made both of those plays, Jeremiah Orawusu Koromoa, is a fantastic effing football player. He is a dog. That is a all-pro caliber linebacker, in my opinion. So defense gets paid too. You're going to see that. You know whose name we didn't hear called very much today at all is Mr. Myles Garrett.
That's true.
So mission accomplished.
That's true.
And yeah, I mean, it feels hard to kick out that game in general. But what I will say, we're facing the class of the NFL next week in the Baltimore Ravens, coming off of 2 big wins against the Bengals, who are still a great football team, even though their record doesn't quite indicate it, and the Buffalo Bills, who maybe their record is better than who they are at this point in the year. We don't know.
The Ravens are rolling.
The Ravens are rolling. Turnovers like that in the red zone or on key, like the first drive out of the half against the Ravens, those are going to hurt. Can't have that against
the X Factor next week.
That level.
Dom and Pop are going to be in the stadium.
Woo!
There's an X Factor. Don't hate on that.
I'm still waiting. I sent Dan Quinn an email. I want to do the Frankie Louvu pregame routine for the team.
Let's do it.
I want to get him fired up, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Pop shirtless is a scene.
Oh yeah. But anyways, let's get into it, man. A little around the NFL wrap up.
Yeah, quickly.
Just real quick. Obviously, we talked about the Ravens game a few times today. Ravens 41, Bengals 38. Hell of a football game there. Squeezed one out, as they tend to do.
I'll tell you, as a Commanders fan, and obviously I was happy for the insider, but I'm kind of happy that they get an emotional win on the road. They got to travel back to Baltimore. It's not much travel for us to go to Baltimore. So as far as it sets up for next week, we cruise. You mentioned, our starters didn't play the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
I think that sets up, pretty well for us.
I got a problem.
That would have been a desperate football team if the Bengals hit that field goal in overtime.
I got a problem with that narrative. You know why I got a problem with that narrative, Pop? That implies that them playing us is like a trap game. And we're a team that's not as good as them.
I'm not saying that. I would say that against any tough opponent, regardless of at any level that we were at as a team. I would just prefer my opponent for the following week, especially if they're not in a division and their record doesn't matter to me much. Come off a win like that, very emotional. You've mentioned they've been on a roll these last 3 games. I'm sure they're going to come ready to play. The Ravens are always ready to play.
Look,
you could put up some points against that defense, though. You could put some points up against that defense. But we're playing the underdog role big time this week.
I wonder who had concerns about that defense going into the year, and everybody who had anything to say told him he knew nothing about football when he would say that. I wonder who. Great win for the Vens. Tip of the cap. Great win for them. They do seem to always find a way to just squeeze it out in those situations, and against the division.
Bengals are good.
It's a hell of a win.
Yeah,
the Bengals are good, but they got to start winning football games.
That's true.
I mean, they're 1-4. Like they got to go on a historic run to make a wild card at this point. Like, it's bad. Vikings 5-0 versus the Jets in London. They clutch out that win. Stephon Gilmore with the hell of an interception on the end of that. play. Rodgers with the 3 picks in that game.
Tough day for Aaron.
Yeah. Not a big Rodgers fan at this point in his career. I would love to see him get it together, but with what I've seen, again, if there was only somebody who called that one. Texans over the Bills, 23-20 on a walk-off field goal. That was a hell of a football game. Josh Allen with a just atrocious stat line today. I didn't watch the game, but just a bad stat line from Allen. So you got to wonder if he's hurt or something. There were a couple of years where he had like shoulder injuries and didn't say anything about it. I wonder what's going on.
Consistency is a bit of an issue with him.
But can you link that to the amount of hits the guy takes?
Fair. Yeah, of course.
You know, like, he's inconsistent, but he also gets ran over by a semi-truck every week out there. Like,
Texans are really good. We disrespected them a little bit.
Yeah, Texans are a real contender in the AFC, I think. Yeah. Joe Flacco, clutch pickup of the week.
Ageless
for the young man in Dynasty. I picked him up in my Dynasty Fantasy Football League just for a quick plug-in with the Lions on bye. And Joe Flacco went 33 for 44 for 359 yards and 3 touchdowns. The Colts did ultimately lose to the Jaguars, 37-34, but man, not a lick of defense was played.
Have a day. Cool. Wow.
Joe Cool. And he had a 20-something yard run too, which I think is hilarious. Like, I got a notification and it was like 23 yards. I
saw that run.
Joe Flacco. And
he looked pretty good. He looked pretty good.
Looked elusive.
Yeah. I think they might have to. Someone's got to do a urinalysis on Joe Flacco.
Oh my God, Joe Flacco is like, is incredible. I mean, he thought by this point in his career he'd be like doing commercials and whatever. The guy just wants it. Unbelievable. Giants beat the Seahawks 29-20. Seahawks came out like a house on fire. Have lost 2 straight. Giants put up a really good game today.
I said they were a better football team. People getting them credit for.
I've been saying that. I agree. And man, it's a tough day for the soft schedule crowd around here. I mean, look, it's not like we're playing the 86 Bears or whatever, but we've beaten the teams that are in front of us, and we've got a really good team in front of us next week. And I look forward to breaking it down and watching that game, and hopefully carrying a W home on the plane back to Los Angeles out of there.
Well, I mean, the margin of victory the last 2 weeks is not easy to do in the NFL against, even average football teams.
I'll close us out with this point.
Let's do it.
That's what should happen, man. That's what should happen. For 4 years, we've been dealing with playing down to competition. Not for 4 years, for 27 years. We've played down to our competition. A bad team rolls in and somehow they beat us, and then we pull off a miracle on Monday night against a team that's a lot better than us. This is what should happen when you face a bad football team. If you think the Cardinals are bad, you should beat them by 30 points.
If you think
the Browns are bad, you should beat them by 30 points. And I don't think these teams are that bad. I just think this Washington team is pretty
that good.
Damn good. So let's wrap this thing up, guys. Hail to the Commanders. Without further ado, I've been Dom.
This is Pop.
Thank you, everybody, for watching this week. Hail to the Commanders.